Hello and welcome. This is the Daily Dharma. My name's Dina. Thanks to everybody for tuning in, showing up today. I've got quite a few cards popping right out, so I guess without further ado, let us go ahead and see what's coming out. Under the deck, prosperity. That's day number 3 for that one coming out. So the first cards coming out, we have number 7, the 7th crown chakra. Something here to do perhaps with beliefs, perspectives, opening one's mind or expanding one's awareness. Cosmic flower to me talks about the expanding, upgrading DNA process of growth, the bloom cycle. And I'm hearing late bloomer. That comes out once in a while with that one. Something that has taken quite a while to gestate and grow is perhaps showing signs that it's ready to come into reality here. Something perhaps mind-blowing. Maybe something that you have thought about, dreamed about for a long time, have been working on for a good amount of time, is then finally coming into being based on your own expansion. One moment, I have to sneeze. Wow, so many distractions this morning. I started with the recording process, getting everything set up, doing my meditation, and all of a sudden I'm hearing beeping down the road. There's some kind of the propane delivery truck coming through. I can hear it still. And the crows started going nuts. The chickens were going nuts. And now a sneeze. There we go. So yeah, something that's been coming into fruition for a long time is starting to show evidence of coming through because of your own expanded awareness. Some type of strategic or altered approach or altered mindset, a new perspective. And so this is telling me that you've shifted your point of attraction from perhaps more ego-based, scarcity-based into more of an alignment with abundance mindset. The next two, we have number 2, the 2nd chakra, sacral. So this one is all about our concept of self, our ability to feel plugged in and connected to our environment, to feel useful, engaged, relevant to our environment, and to feel received, well received even. And then 30, integration. So yeah, okay, because of the things that are already being said, it seems that there's been a leveling up of awareness of how other things, people, places, and environments perceive you, and this shifting some type of older, outdated mindset to come into a greater expansion of really who you are, who you've become because of all of these things since that time where that original mindset was perhaps put into place or believed in, engaged. And so you're integrating a lot of your life lessons here, and it's bringing about a lot of blessings in your world. And if you haven't seen evidence of these, I suspect it's coming. I want to glance under that. We have Gaia, consciousness, empowerment, and third eye. Exactly. So I say exactly like you know what I'm thinking. Do you? To me, this is an expanded awareness of how the delays are coming in our favor or helping us to sit back, to pay attention to the things that are coming in. Like there go the crows again. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, just a little bit at a time. Caw, caw, caw. It's like the elementals, I just saw 444, the universal signposts, guides, guardians, all of this information is in formation all around us at all times, and we can see evidence of things becoming. We can allow these things to speak to us and through us. It's reminding me of a meme I saw yesterday, and I would not be able to call it all up, but it was something about um, she speaks to stones, and she listens to the trees singing, and something else about the animal kingdom or something like that. And she, he, would, could. Um, what I'm sensing is that by really cluing into the environment that we are indistinguishable from in huge ways, we're able to expand our consciousness, to empower our intuitive awareness. And things like astrology, or, like even studying history, it seems so mundane and third dimensional, but history is created because of people navigating their own consciousness and perspectives. And as they attempt to navigate their environment and their inner awareness, consciousness empowers behavior to demonstrate things that are then informing the future context. And so as we study these things, we can start to sense the patterns behind the anomalies. It doesn't necessarily say that, okay, I believe this thing about this group or species of animal, and then I'm going to go out and observe it and see if that's true. Because if we know on the quantum level that anything that we set out to observe, we will be able to find evidence for, generally speaking. On the quantum level, that's how that law works. And so it works the same way in our own consciousness, to an extent where if we're looking out to see who's going to betray us or who's not going to be steadfast and loyal in their word, then we'll find evidence of that. But if we set out to say, well, even if people fail, or even if people slip and slide in their egos a little bit, that doesn't mean that I don't have what I need. It doesn't mean perhaps what we think it means, but we can expand our awareness. And then that's where true growth starts to really happen in consciousness, and where the awareness gets into the awakened standpoint. So, all right, let's get into the next deck here. I want to move into the mixed shamanic deck. So we're being pointed to some type of outlet for abundance. In the pre-shuffle, I got something like earth with, anyways, it doesn't matter. The idea that came forward is that something is taking shape, and it's allowing us to become awakened and aware to where true abundance lies, and how some type of endeavor is catching our eye. Yeah, the passion card came out with it too, and some others. But yeah, the passions becoming or redirecting us to develop other areas that can become quite abundant or profitable, or occupying more of our time and energy, in good or bad or in different ways. But there's something coming up that, Earth talks about how it's being put into reality. So 58, vanishing mere ego sublimation, comes out first. So it seems like the message is already coming through, as we've said. The ego can be positive. I also got views of the ego from Akashic Tarot a few times yesterday. And so this was in one of my private readings, and the first impulse is to say, oh, my ego isn't really at play. This must be talking about the other people's ego. and not all of us want to shift and I want to say blame shift a little bit, where it's like, oh, well, I've already figured that element of self out. But there's also these elements of when does your self satisfaction become a little bit lack of humility and self pride that kind of starts to be a little bit derisive and enjoy the squirming of others when you succeed. See, I showed them, and that's not what it is for everybody. But to an extent, in the moment, it was a little bit of that. And I thought, I think that part of ego sublimation that was coming through is the ability to say, yeah, I deserve to be proud of myself. I deserve to um, see my point of view recognized and to rise above once in a while. But at the same token, that doesn't give me license to enjoy another person's squirming, so to speak. I mean, but who hasn't gone there? It feels sometimes, as long as it's not super malicious, it seems sometimes that those little childish, perhaps petty things can be, oh, here I go. I know it's not very spiritual to say these things, but sometimes pettiness has its place. I just gotta say, yes, as I split the deck here, I'm at Fortune's Wheel, Luck and Right Timing 23 with the number 4 Caterpillar Opportunity. So there's a new opportunity as something is growing, shifting, and expanding, luck and right timing. That's, I think, the feeling that's coming out of this, the ego sublimation and the luck and right timing of how we handle ourselves in those moments where, yeah, at some level we might feel a little petty. But it's in our best interest to work on that on the internal level. It's not about if we show it or if we don't show it so much as how we feel, the vibration that we allow in ourselves unchecked, or if we see it and become aware of it, are we going to shame ourselves for that, or are we going to say, there's a time and a space for everything? That just gives me evidence of some of the of the of the trials and tribulations that have led me to this need to develop a healthier sense of self-pride and a firmer foundation for myself to have regulated, balanced self-expression that can be celebrated for healthy things instead of being, some people go out there and they just try to, what is it called? Not rage trigger, rage bait. That word came out yesterday in something I was watching, and I was like, yeah, how often does the ego want to rage bait others so that we can, they, others in our environment may do this to us, try to get us to show ourselves for our lower nature. It's like, then are we any better than that? So, okay, 2 more cards flipping out. Lost compass, getting back to integrity. So with that luck and right timing, the opportunity is showing up like this chameleon cat with all of these eyes. It's like, here we are, perhaps on our social platforms or in our peer groups at our workplace, and the things that we stand for are only one leg of that 3-legged stool that can become tippy. Some of the other ones are, what does that really say about the deeper vibrational holdings? And something else that's come through on some of the different platforms was talking about how an individual says this one thing that could be, construed several different ways in varying levels of awareness and toxicity and consciousness or unconsciousness. But the subliminal that comes through some of those comments is like kind of those if you know things where I even said that yesterday. I was starting to get kind of cocky at the end of the reading, and I was aware of it, but I was highly enjoying myself. And that is okay. All emotions are okay, we used to tell the kids at grief counseling. And I guess where I'm going with that is that the opportunities present to us to stand for something and to take stands, and how we do that, the energy that we affect, and the energy that we can maintain in ourselves. Are we going to be self-possessed, not self-censored or self-centered, either way, but in some type of a way um, back into our integrity? It's like the fortune's wheel. It's always turning, and we can find ourselves lifted up high and then shoved under the wheels of the bus as it continues to turn. But how do we stay at the top? It's by getting back into our integrity. What do you mean? Say what you mean what you say. And if what you said could be misconstrued, maybe there's an opportunity for you to say, you know what, that came out wrong. Or, you know, I agree to disagree type of comments, where we might say, you know, although I don't necessarily agree with your view, I agree that you have the not permission, but that you have a right, and a right to believe the things that you believe. And to me, I think that should come with a harm to none. But I think for us, the way that we are choosing is to recognize something that we or another has done, and we're getting back into our integrity. Like maybe we were tolerating something from a boss or a coworker, a friend, family, spouse, partner, whatever, children, and our allowing something had really screwed up our point of attraction to the point that we were then, you know, unbeknownst to us, somewhat subliminally, becoming part of the bullying culture that had oppressed our own inner child and our ego, that was sublimation, subliminal, being able to sublimate the ego is to put it into check. But subliminal messaging is like that rage triggering, where we have to be aware of the content that we're taking in. We have to be aware of the context of other individuals that we're letting into our mind, our heart, into our environments. So after Lost Compass, this 27 heart home compassion, it's like this greater awareness is helping us to get back front and center into our heart space. And I think that part of this has to do with those influencers, like I said, that were coming into our world. So under the deck, I took a peek. 43, overflow, overwhelm, and plenty. Yeah, it's like we can get carried away with our emotion, especially when those emotions haven't been allowed to come out and play. If they've been sublimated, and the ego has been gratified and lifted up, then we can find ourselves a little off center, a little off color, whatever we might see. There's a need or an urge here with our expansion to it seems like with our own development here, to integrate some powerful lessons, some powerful change that has been on the docket all this year. Many individuals went through some tremendous level ups this year that had to do with some significant soul lessons. So yeah, there are plenty of opportunities coming our way with that caterpillar card that we saw earlier with Fortune's Wheel. And it might help to think, okay, those opportunities that you're looking for, things such as social media or friends, family, colleagues, the way that we show up and the way that we show out, so to speak, it follows us. Because even if we delete the post, the internet kind of never erases that stuff. And if somebody saw it, if somebody screen prints it, screenshots it, whatever, um, these things can kind of have a way of following us along. Or with, say it wasn't written out, but it was an exchange we had with a boss and that person's still on our resume, or, or people know people, especially if you haven't moved industries or you haven't moved um, areas, geographical location. Those individuals might be part of a networking group. You never know with the degrees of separation who knows who and who's talking about you. And it's not about impressing other people. It's about standing for something that we stand for. It's about getting back into our integrity. And sometimes those things will require us to admit when we're wrong, or to apologize, or to strike comments and say, that came out wrong, like I said earlier. Dances on one foot, balancing act under the deck. Yeah, I think it's an intricate balance when we're looking at going places, doing things. Every little step that we take becomes our vibrational frequency, and it allows us to attract those new opportunities, or to have infinite opportunities to work out karma that we haven't faced up to. And so I think that many of us that are tuning in have really done a lot of inner work. That's what's being evidenced here. We're integrating these new upgraded ideals and behaviors and outlooks here. And there's this timing of, there's like a revitalization within the home, within your body, within your DNA that keeps coming through, having to do with the integration of ego urge and ultimate expression, and feeling like we're either working with people or against individuals. Dragon's Horde, protecting the future. That's, I feel like, what we're getting at is this urge to, if we want what we want in our future, we kind of have to start taking those steps right now to attract the opportunities that we want to attract. And that's number one at 2222. By actually shifting and opening and expanding our minds, by taking in diverse opinions and outlooks, and, for instance, not just taking in one opinion all the time about something, because if we look at the sourcing of that, the algorithms that are at work and play in our lives will say that they're going to continue to present us with whatever fits that law of attraction. And if we're only seeking one thing, then we don't actually have a full picture of what is available. Lots of noise today. So there may be a need to seek a release from distractions. I want these two cards as the last two cards. You would not have known it. Fortune's Wheel, luck and right timing coming out again. So we're getting lucky breaks and lucky opportunities that are continuing to present to us, and many paths. 34. So we have the 34 and the 35 here. Interesting. Any other combos? The 36 is here. So that's a nice little run. 27, 28, and 26. That's a run. Anyways, 17, 18. Very interesting. And now on the bottom, deep quiet, stillness, and meditation. So yeah, I think that part of this integration process is going to take us kind of reflecting upon, with the crown and sacral, it's like, why am I doing this? Am I competing with others? Are others triggering my sense of self-worth? Or do I feel like they're challenging my intelligence or my self-respect? Do I feel like people are doing this to me? Am I taking things personally? And as we resolve all of those ego issues, then we can really start to put it in its proper place and balance out the three legs of that tippy stool and start to really rebalance everything. So I just really want to show you guys these two together. the luck and right timing with that getting back to integrity. Look at how the light shines through here. Fortune is always available. And then getting back to integrity is where we hit that combination code and it starts illuminating. Do you see how that light, and perhaps we're about to take flight in something. Yesterday I got the take flight card. Now we've got a plane overhead quite randomly. All of these sounds today are quite interesting. So let's get a couple of cards from the Akashic Tarot. Those ones just fell off the bottom. I do want to take a glance. Diversity, Master Artisan, The Journey, and Archangel Raphael. Just give you guys a quick glance. That's about healing our heart space along the journey and being able to feel more self-directed, that we are in charge of where we go, what we do, how we make our money, how we exchange resources and perspectives with others in our world, and how we gain perspective and diversity in our lives. Diverse viewpoints, diverse resources, instead of going just to one source. Sourcing our information from multiple places is the only way to get some type of real awareness of where the center truly is. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and get a couple of cards here. Thank you guys for coming along. If you enjoy the readings, if you guys want me to continue this way, please do consider hitting some of those buttons for me, helping us get the message out to grow the channel. And consider checking in with the community and creating some dialogue down below. Love reading the comments and the feedback. First card popping out, the Scribe, number 12. This is about somebody busy at work transcribing, perhaps interpreting their intuitive impulses, maybe social media posting or something like that, or writing some emails or texts to other individuals. I would say that it's important in the context of this reading to not go off, as they say, half-cocked and tell people how you, quote, really feel. If it's based in ego and wounded nature and feeling victimized or misunderstood, then I would really suggest taking some deep meditation and stillness time to really look into the motivating factors. And is this person really part of what you're struggling with? And maybe they are to a certain extent, but then you come up with those. Is it kind? Is it necessary? And is it true? So yeah, getting back into our integrity is taking us to a point where we need to really consult with the so-called higher ups. And maybe that would help you to get the insight of some professionals in the field, like, maybe some easy things, like you're concerned if the person or environment that you're dealing with, like those taglines, "Am I the a-hole?" Those are sometimes kind of interesting because it brings up a lot of complexities, because you can read in the heading and it's like, oh, of course, yes or no. But then you start getting into the context, and the same thing in our personal experiences. Well, I can't believe they said that this. And then we start looking at the context and it's like, well, could this be true? Is it really unkind, or am I just sensitive about it? But then we get into gaslighting ourselves. And so it's important to check in with your higher self, with the professionals, with those, not like those that would comment on social media for "Am I the a-holes?" But, asking God, source, spirit, whatever, universe, higher self to really review what situation is this bringing to mind for you. Does it have triggers and roots in other situations that have challenged you in the past? And if so, then how does that influence the outcome in the way that you respond in the now? Are you responding heavier handed in this opportunity than you would have before? And or on the other flip side of things, maybe you're not a reactionary person. Maybe you're the person that's always tolerating. And maybe you're the person that's been traditionally more meek and has not capitalized on things. And maybe it's time for you to just draw up and say, you know, like at a meeting once a long time ago, I was a lower level individual, and I was invited to this manager's meeting so that I could function in other capacities. And the guy at the head was talking all of this smack about nobody's ever got these ideas, and we've got these real problems, and he'd love it if somebody would. And so I'm sorry, I know blah 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 that I'm this meek person, but has anybody considered that? And I thought I had some good ideas, and everybody around the table's looking at me like, oh no, she didn't. I can't believe she doesn't get it. And they just look at their laps, and this individual is like, how does she have the cojones to come at me? And I was shortly thereafter uninvited to the meetings. This individual didn't want input. He wanted to shame other individuals for not being what he wouldn't give them the floor space to be. So there's all these complexities. But, sometimes it's important to just say, if you don't ask, you'll never know. And there you have it. So what else? Oh, we've got a couple flipping out there. That one came out in the pre-shuffle. Underneath, we have Hilarion. Very nice. Yes, he's consulting. He's doing his research. He has a scientific, logical mind. He's going through the checkpoints and checking off, doing his due diligence. The ones that flew out are Paths Unknown, 8 of Scrolls, and the Winged Messengers, this 2 of Cups, 2 of Roses energy here. So there are many paths. And Winged Messengers is looking for that bonded connection and mending fences where it's necessary. It looks like we're going to be out of time here. Let me just get one more here, and if we have time for an oracle card, we'll finish it up. We'll go with this. The Waterfall. 6 of Forces. So that's 6 of Wands. That's success and attainment. So there's something where you are standing tall, coming out on top with that fortune's wheel right above it. And it comes because of the application of your will and having the wherewithal to speak up in the moment, or to have your emotions be witnessed and known. Change directions with ease. This is a time for change, shape-shifting, or your soul's evolution. It's time to reconsider what you're wanting. You may be in for a surprise. Rediscover your zeal and then bring it forth with gusto, right? Pay attention to the passions you're feeling for discovery, learning, exploration, spirituality, travel, or your work, or your relationship. Passion and desire go together.